So as I was preparing for Hurricane Sandy, it kind of occurred to me that as a hiker and camper, we kind of have the advantage on most people. When people talk about go bags, I mean, we got our hiking pack, it has everything in there already. It makes normal go bags that they talk about supply-wise look actually pretty meager. You do need to be concerned about safety and flying objects, possibly through glass windows and whatnot. Actually taped up the window, and from here, I'll put you back. I'm actually going to end up taping the blinds here, which will add some added protection. We're also expecting power outages. As you can probably tell, I have no power, so this is something I prepared for in advance. Definitely make sure you got candles, lights, batteries, and whatnot. So one of the things I did was turned up the heat so that once the power went off, you know, this apartment would stay warm as long as possible. When the sun started to go down, I grabbed my little headlamp, which I'm actually using to help light this scene right now, and I just put it on my head so that once the power went off, I had light so I could, you know, get started, go around and do what I had to do and not try to scramble for stuff in the dark. So that's huge. One of the things I've been thinking of is how I'm going to stay warm and how I'm going to cook some, you know, warming foods so that I can just feel good, especially if the power's out for a few days. I don't want this to be kind of like a miserable experience, and there's no need why it should be. So, of course, you know, the little propane heaters, camping stove deals, these were the first to go when everyone heard about the storm. By the time I got there, there was none left, but I already had 4, being an avid camper myself. But one thing that was overlooked is these little, I think they're methane or something like that. They're just little burners that keep food warm. Often if you have a big party or something, they put trays of food out and they put these little burners under it. There were boxes of these and nobody was giving them any attention, so that'll be great. Conserving power, of course, is key since I don't have any way of replacing the batteries or recharging my rechargeable ones, or at least no easy way. But the other thing is, of course, most people use electronics. You got your mobile phone, possibly a tablet as well. Before the power went out, what I did was I went in, I turned the brightness settings way down so that I can still use these devices, but they'll last much, much longer. And if you happen to have a battery backup for maybe your computer or your TV or something like that, using those battery backups to recharge a tablet or a phone, I can get many full discharge cycles out of it. So that, you know, I can watch video on my tablet or on my phone, or listen to audiobooks or that sort of thing. During a prolonged power outage, it's definitely, you know, great if you can have something to do. It's kind of boring. So this is just a standard crank flashlight with radio, which is great because this way I have an unlimited supply of electricity for basic light and for information. So this way I can get the news updates, hear if there's any evacuation orders, or get a better sense of just what's going on and if I need to be concerned or anything like that. Obviously you need to think about everyone who's part of your family. You know, if you have needs of small children or elderly people or medication or whatever it might be, prepare ahead. In my case, I got some reptiles, and the thing about reptiles is that they can't regulate their own body temperature, so they are entirely dependent on their surroundings to keep them warm. You know, proper planning ahead is going to definitely pay off if this stays out for very long. Alright, so this is my little setup to keep my reptiles warm. It's just a garbage can on top of 4 cans of beans, and what I have is a bunch of tea lights, little candles. Basically they last for about half an hour, and you know, they're really really small candles, so they'll fit under here no problem and be, you know, a couple inches away from the actual plastic, but this will be enough heat to help keep this warm. One thing to help keep me warm, of course, like when you go camping, a lot of people will often eat chocolate or something with a lot of sugar in it right before they go to bed. I've also sealed off all the different rooms. I'm just going to be kind of in the living room, kitchen area, so that any heat that's generated is hopefully going to stay in here as much as possible, so that I'm not worried about heating everything, you know, with the candles or just my own body heat and whatnot. You know, they'll create some heat. So I want all that heat to be kind of trapped inside this room. This room's big enough that I'm not going to be like claustrophobic and feel really trapped. You know, just being a hiker is a huge head start on everyone else. I feel like if I didn't do anything, I would already be prepared, because what we do when we're hiking, I mean, you know, we're basically living off of the grid for however long you're camping out for, you know, usually a couple days. Preparing to have enough water is important. In this case, I just went and bought, you know, extra jugs of water. If I didn't have that though, I have the water purification tablets, so I could just go to a lake or stream nearby, get some extra water that way if I run out, and if I didn't have the tablets, which most campers do, but you can also just add a little bit of bleach into water to help purify it. But it has to be regular bleach, not like scented, so just be careful with that. Anyway, we'll see what happens overnight tonight. The wind, it kind of seems like it comes and goes. It's a bit odd. I was expecting more of a constant barrage of wind, but it really kicks up every now and then for a few minutes, and then it, you know, is much more quiet like now. And over here, our favorite reptiles squaring off face to face. Alright, so it's morning and the wind has really died down out there. You can still see the trees moving around a bit, but it seems like it's pretty much past. The temperature in here is actually pretty good. It's probably in the 60s right now. Checked my reptile tank there. Temperature dropped a few degrees more in there, but still actually not to the point where I have to take them out yet, but probably pretty soon I'll have to put them in my little makeshift water heater there. Boil up some gumbo. Alright, not really, but just enough to keep them warm. Alright, so time for an update. It's been over 50 hours since the power went out, and turtles are doing fine. Little setup with the garbage can and elevated with the little tea candles underneath works great. They seem to be happy and warm and not too, I mean, you know, they're inside a garbage can, they're probably not that happy, but at least they're warm, so that's good. Fridge starting to get some weird smells coming from it a little bit, so I figured rather than just let all the food go bad, why not start to make some stuff. So what I did is I got my buffalo wings in here, I got some bread cooking over here, and I was originally going to put this inside the oven, but then these menthol burners obviously are going to need oxygen to help keep that fire going, so once you close that door, it's going to burn for a bit, but it's going to go out eventually. Then you'll have to open the door, let out all the heat, light it again. Don't make no sense. So that's why I put the buffalo wings inside this pot, and this bread I'm hoping is going to cook up on here, but maybe I'll have to cover it too, because I'm not sure if I'm going to get enough heat just from the burner. But, you know, could be a nice dinner, I hope. Kind of like camping indoors, you know, even though the power's out, doesn't mean I don't have to have, you know, like a bad time. Why not make, you know, a little adventure out of it, I think. So I'm trying to have fun with it. Alright, so I finally got my dinner. Got some fried bread and also some buffalo wings. And the one thing that doesn't mind the cold. So that's great. At least we got something out of it. And I'm just going to enjoy some dinner. That's good. Gotta make the best of the situation. Try to just pretend like I'm camping. It's one heck of a tent I got. Alright, so we've made it to the 100-hour mark. Most people in the community have pretty much long since left, so we're mostly here alone. Obviously they weren't hikers and campers, because we've been putting all of our hiking and camping gear to good use here, and so there's no real reason for us to leave. I've made a special little dinner for myself to celebrate the 100-hour mark of no power, and having some oriental noodles with some smoked oysters, so I'm looking forward to that. But the good news is that I heard maybe a couple more days power will be restored here. I guess we'll see. But really we're fine. I mean, it would obviously be nice to have power, running water, heat, crazy stuff like that, but it's really just pretty much been indoor camping. So this is my makeshift shelter for the reptiles. They've been in the water for days and they need to dry off, or else their shells, can get problematic with fungal infections and whatnot. So I've constructed this little box tape prison so they can be in. They have a chemical heating pad in there to help keep them warm whenever they settle down. They'll get some warmth out of that, because it's pretty cold in here right now, but it looks like they're eager to escape their prison. So that's why there's all the tape, because they'll just, run loose. I'll lose them, and they'll freeze on the cold floor, unfortunately. But there they both are, trying to get out. Here we go, the great escape attempt for that big turtle, trying to pull itself through that tape. One determined turtle. Look at them. She's fighting to get out. She's a big, strong turtle. She's taking a breather. Waiting to see what we're going to do. Alright, so power just came back, and that's great. It's been over 140 hours, but now the power's back. I got heat, hot water, and of course the ability to recharge everything. So that's great. Really happy about that. One of the things though during a prolonged power outage definitely is, you're going to start looking around, what can I use to generate heat or light or whatever. Of course it's natural. One of the things that's been going around the internet the last few years is using Mountain Dew, hydrogen peroxide, and some baking soda, and fill it about a third or a quarter full of Mountain Dew. Then add just a little bit of baking soda, so I'm just going to take a pinch. I consider that a little bit, maybe two. Why not? Let's do two. It's fizzing a little bit. And then 3 capfuls of hydrogen peroxide. 3 and a little bit extra because I was sloppy and spilled some. So there we go, about 3 capfuls. And then all we have to do is shake it up. We should get a nice, brilliant glow stick. So we'll turn off the light. And here's our Mountain Dew bottle. Currently not glowing. There's some light from a lamp I got over here. So we'll turn that off. And now we're going to shake it. Shaking, we're shaking, right? So nice and shook up. But what do you see? Well, you see nothing, unfortunately, right? It's just no glow. Do your homework. Never assume just because you get an email or read something quickly on the internet that it's actually true. In this case, if you had this as part of your emergency supplies, thinking you ran out and bought 2-liter bottle before maybe a big storm hit or something like that. But you could use this, and this would be kind of your lantern or something like that for safety or just for general usage. Always worth checking your facts, obviously. But on a more serious note, there's still a lot of power outages, even 6 days later in the Northeast tri-state area here. There's still 1.5 million people out of power. There's been gas shortages, severe gas shortages in the entire tri-state area for the last several days and projected for at least the next several days to come. There have been lootings and break-ins and a lot of issues. So it's worth, you know, thinking about and trying to be prepared for. It's just not supposed to happen. It's supposed to be a 1 every 100 years sort of scenario, and it's happened twice in the last 2 years. So it's worth thinking about that. You know, climate conditions are changing, and that's affecting different regions in different ways. So what you may not be used to happening, or traditionally kind of we don't have to worry about that sort of problem. It's probably worth worrying about different things that are not traditionally an issue in your area. Put all this sandy stuff behind us, and we will see you on the trails.